What's up, YouTube? Georgia Silver Hunter back, and today we will be doing a mega customer wrapped coin roll hunt. My half dollars didn't come in this week, and so I decided Friday and Saturday to drive around to 6 different branches, or really 6 different banks, 5 Wells Fargo, 1 Fifth Third Bank, and I was able to get $1,222 worth of customer wrapped change from all the various tellers at those banks. To break that down for you, we've got $810 worth of quarters to go through. Okay? We have $102 worth of nickels, which is one roll more than a typical bank box. And we have $310 worth of dimes, which is $60 more than again, typical dime box. So this is going to be a huge hunt. Apologies if it gets a bit long, but we have a ton of customer change to go through. I'm really looking forward to finding some cool stuff. We will be trying to fill our nickel book during this hunt, as well as our Series 2 quarter books. So stay tuned. This could end up being a pretty wild hunt, considering just how many different banks we acquired this change from. So let's jump into it. As you can see, we're going to start with our dimes. I'm going to record opening every single dime roll. We will be doing a bunch of fast forwarding because with dimes, there's not a whole lot to look for outside of silver. So that's pretty much what I'll be doing today is silver and proof hunting, because proofs are pretty easy to find during cleanup. So there is a document in the description down below this video. It does have all the various dimes that you could look for. The big one being the 1996 W, but they are very, very hard to find in circulation. And I did want to show you because I tested these first couple of rolls before I got started filming here. And I do have a rare earth magnet that I always run over my customer wrapped rolls. And you can see I've got something foreign in here because we are sticking. So this roll right here, we'll go ahead and start with that one. It's probably got a foreign in it. And most likely it's Canadian. So I'm going to go ahead and get opening rolls, and I will slow things down and bring you in when we find something interesting. I will also do my best to keep track of which roll we're into, but honestly, that can be hard to do when we've got something like 62 rolls of dimes. So right here you can see, I will get it up here close to the camera. We've got a really, really solid silver edge. It's reeded differently than American coins, and remember, it was magnetic. And just like that, we have found ourselves a 2008 Canadian dime. So theoretically, the first find of the hunt. Nothing too exciting. I'm actually going to put it over here. But I imagine we'll find a handful of Canadian currency and probably some other stuff along the way. And you'll see I'm just going to start scooting stuff out. If there is any break or edit in the film, it's basically that I had to, make room for dimes and get those out of the way. So if you do see a cut or a blend through, that's pretty much what I am doing. So now this is roll number 11, and I can already feel it. You can see it in the paper. Looks like we got maybe a penny stuffed in here. And there it is. So we got a penny stuffed in a customer wrap roll. I don't know how you do that. It is a 1992. And it is a wide AM. I think we're looking for the close AM on the 1992. But I'll put it up here next to our Canadian coin just to say it's a find. Oh look, we've got another, probably Canadian. It is a 2005 dime. Makes 2 Canadians on the hunt. All right, well, we've got 22. This is 23 from the end. We've got another penny in here, I think. I can just feel it through the paper. See, I can't get it out of the wrap. There we go. So we got another penny. Looks like at least this time it might be copper. We got ourselves a 1982. So that makes it 2 pennies on the hunt. Let's see if maybe there's a little silver in here to go with that copper. Okay, so we have just 20 rolls left to find a little bit of silver, and so far, as you guys have seen, because I've shown you all of it, we've just got those 2 pennies and those 2 Canadians to show for all of these dimes, which is not really that uncommon. I swear, sometimes I can't pick up dimes. It's not really that uncommon. At the beginning of the year, I think I did a 4-box dime hunt, not all at one time, but like over 2 weeks or something like that. And coming out of bank wrapped rolls, I literally found nothing. I mean, I had a couple of varieties that were quasi interesting, and you know, you do get the occasional foreign, but you know, it's not uncommon to go through $1,000 worth of bank wrapped dimes and not find any silver. Now, of late, I've done very well with customer wrap silver or customer wrap dimes, finding at least 1 silver dime in the last 3 or 4 hunts. So I'm hopeful we get lucky here and find one towards the end. But who knows? We might get skunked. The other danger that we run doing customer wrap rolls is we just don't know if these have already been hunted, if they haven't been marked. So perhaps some other dime hunter has already come through and pulled all the silver out of these. But across 5 branches, that's not super likely, but I guess possible. All right, well, we've got something silvery in here. The reading looks off, so I'm going to say that it is going to be foreign. Let's use our little magnet to see, and it is. It's another Canadian dime. This time looks like a 1971, and I think this is too late for this to have been made of silver. I think we have to go back into the 60s for these to have been silver. So, and it wouldn't be magnetic, quite frankly, if it was silver. So I've answered my own question there. But that's 3 Canadian dimes on the hunt. All right, guys, just 2 rolls left. I'm a little disappointed we haven't found any silver. We did have 3 silvery looking coins, but they were all Canadian. And I'd hate to get skunked because this is the largest number of rolls I think we've done in customer wrapped in dimes ever. It just hasn't worked out for us today. This looks like a lot of new dimes in here. And it is, just from looking at the edges. All right, well, you've seen how I clean this mess up. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. We'll get the nickels up here and we'll get started on those next. But just real quick to show you, do I have that on camera? I think I do. Here are those 3 Canadian dimes and our 2 pennies. One of them was at least copper, which was nice. But not much to show for $310 in dimes. Okay, so we're going to be moving on to the nickels. You see, I have them already laid out up here for you, but I did want to say I got done re-rolling the dimes, and typically when you hunt customer wrap rolls, you're going to get shorted from time to time. This one was a rare occasion in that we did have 5 coins that we pulled out, so our 3 Canadian nickels and our 2 pennies. Well, after I got done re-rolling all those dimes, I actually had 1 extra dime, so that means I was overstuffed by 6, which is really, really rare. Well, moving on, so for this hunt, we are going to be trying to fill my nickel album, and I do have a series that I've been doing with that, and if you look up here in the upper right-hand corner, I will link to the entire nickel hunt series, where we are trying to fill this Whitman Jefferson nickel album from 1938, and it actually goes to, I think, like 2017, because I've put in the extra pages. But short of getting in here and just going through it all with you, I did make myself a cheat sheet that you guys can have a quick look at. We're really looking for about 10, I didn't really count them up, but it's about 10 individual nickels from 1938D through 1950D, and I've also listed the mintages there, and they're all fairly low mintages. The 42S through the 45D are war nickels, so those will be 35% silver, and I actually already have those, but I've gotten them from coin collections or silver that I've found before doing this hunt and fill series. And, you know, they're just missing from the book, and I'm trying to find it in customer or bank-wrapped rolls. So, really, I could fill more of this book than what you see here on this sheet of paper. Also, you'll see I have a note for pretty much all proofs. I've only found 2 or 3 proofs in customer hunts and box hunts, and so almost any proof's going to be a fill in this album. So, with that said, let's go ahead and get into one roll here on film. As I said with the dimes, I do have a document in the description down below this video where you can find all the things we'll be looking for in nickels. But to quickly summarize, that would be pretty much our V nickels and our Buffalo nickels. Those would be super old nickels. That's before, like, I don't know, like 1938 or something like that. Actually, it is before 1938. We'll be looking for anything from 1938 to 1959. Those will be considered fines. 42 to 45 are our war nickels, and that's where the U.S. government pulled all the copper out of our nickels to use for the war and replaced it with silver. So doing a quick wash here, just looking for something old that might be considered a find in this hunt, and I am not seeing anything. So I'll go ahead and go through these individually for any other varieties, and then I'll keep hunting off camera, and I will bring you in as soon as we find something interesting. So hopefully, see you soon and often. We're getting into roll number 3. We're about halfway through, and we have our first find of the hunt. It is a 1946. Looks like a Denver, and I believe the 46 has like a over mint mark or a repunched mint mark. Let's just have a look at that mint mark under the scope. That looks pretty normal to me, so just a 46D. We're on roll number 9, and we have our next find. This time it actually came up reverse facing, and it looked old, but I wanted to check the date. We have a 1957. Looks like a Denver. Very next roll, we have our next find. It's another 50s. We've got ourselves, if we can get the focus there, we've got ourselves a 1953. This one is a Philadelphia. No P mark that we're looking for there. So 53 will come up right here next to our 57. Same roll. We were actually just 3 nickels from the end, and it snuck up on me because it was pretty beat up. But we have our first foreign in our nickel hunt. We've got ourselves a 2010 Canadian nickel. So very next roll, I think it's roll number 11 if I'm keeping count right. And look at that right there. It has seen much, much better days, but we have ourselves a war nickel. It is a 1944, and if you guys remember from my hunt list, I'm just trying to get this so it focuses right for you. We do need a 44S. Now, this is an awful nickel to be putting in a book, but it would be a filler, but let's see. That is a Philly, not a San Francisco, so it's not going in the book for sure. It's definitely not an upgrade, but we have our first piece of silver on the hunt. So very next roll, and we have our next find, and it is the last year that we would consider it to be a find. We have a 1959 Philadelphia. We're on roll 15, and this is a really ugly roll. I'm going to just show it to you. It looks like it's maybe been in some water or something, but right here at the front, we just got through a couple, 3 or 4. We did find, and of the modern nickels, this is one of the lower mintage ones you should be looking out for. This is a 2009 Philadelphia. The only thing really special about it is that it was super low mintage. I'll throw the mintage up on the screen. I know a lot of coin roll hunters hang on to every 2009 that they find. I've honestly only found probably 5 or 6 of these over the last 2 years of hunting, so I do as well hang on to these. I don't think there's a ton of value in them. It's just they're low mintage, so they're kind of cool to hang on to. I think we're on roll number 16. Could be roll number 17, though. We have our next find, and it is a 1958 Denver with a little bit of junk on it there. A little bit of blue stuff. Don't know what that is, but we'll put it up here. It needs to go right between our 57 and our 59. Very same roll, but 5 from the end, and we have another 1959. Oops. Looks like we've got a filly. We're on roll number 20, and we have our next find, and we've actually had one of these already, but thought I would bring you in. This one was upside down when I came across it, but we have a 1957, this time a Denver. Same roll, just a couple of nickels later, we have yet another late 50s, 1958 Denver. We've gotten into roll 23, and we have an older looking nickel here, reverse facing. Let's check it out here together. Is that a Denver? San Francisco? Just a mark? Not sure. Let's see what we got. We've got a 1946. Didn't we already have a 46? We did. I want to see under the scope here. Oops. Was that a mint mark? Not sure. We've got some raised metal. That could be the remnants of a D, maybe. We'll clean that off a little bit. Let's see. All right, well, I've rubbed at it and looked at it under the scope. It looks like it's just a regular 1946 Philadelphia. So we'll put it with our other one. Bringing in here on roll 26, and we have our next find, and I believe it is a new one. It is another 40s. We got a 49. Looks like a Philadelphia. We're 17 rolls from the end, and I've come across another 2009. I know that I said earlier in the video I don't come by a lot of these, and this is 2 in this little hunt. This time we've got a Denver, so I'm going to check. The ones in my book are not great. I'm not sure either of these are going to upgrade, but I'll definitely put them aside. But now we have a P and a D. And I know I mentioned earlier about the lower mintage on them. I just wanted to show you really quickly, like the 2008 D and the Philly and the Denver, we're talking nearly 600, a little over 600 million between the two. And the P only has about 40 million, and the Denver only has about 47 million in the 2009 year. So you can see it was a greatly reduced mintage. And you can see an MS63. These go for about $3 a piece according to Redbook. So much more valuable coins than or much more valuable nickels than all the rest. So definitely, if you're finding these, you should probably hang on to them. And if you find some in really good shape, they're actually worth a couple of bucks. Same roll as the 2009. We got down here towards the end. It was actually just about 7 or 8 nickels later, and we've come across a 1951. Now, the 1951S is a semi-key date. Let's check it out. Looks like we've got a Denver. We're 11 rolls from the end, and we have our next find. It is looks like a 1954. It has seen better days for sure. It's pretty chewed up. Let's check it out here. And we are looking at a Philadelphia. I think the San Francisco is a semi-key date, but even if it were in this condition, it's not really worth hanging on to. But we'll put it on the board as a find. We're 10 rolls from the end, and I wanted to bring you guys in real quick. This is probably more for you new coin roll hunters, but if you're going through nickels, dimes, or quarters, and you come across something that's kind of this shade, when you take a look at it, it's got a little bit of yellowing to it. This is actually, typically anyway, a metal detector find. Clad coins kind of take on this color when they've been sitting in the ground for a really long time, and they get taken out and put through the wash, or they get cleaned. And this is what they look like. So at least all the ones I've dug out of my yard look like this. And so that's typically what I think this is. If you think this is something else, let me know in the comments down below. 6 rolls from the end, and we've got our next find. And it fell off here as I was grabbing my camera. We've got another Canadian, this time a 1983 5-cent nickel from Canada. Well, as you can see, we are done with the nickels. We didn't have any more finds, but to do a quick wrap up, we did have those 2 Canadians that I brought you in for. I did just go ahead and pull aside that metal detector find just so we could keep it up here. The one coin that I'm semi-excited about, and it's this 1944 Philadelphia, and it's mainly because it is silver. So this will get thrown into my war nickel tubes that I have in my safe. It is 35% silver, so I'm always excited to find it. It unfortunately is not a book upgrade for me. We did have a couple of 46s, a 49, a 51, a couple of 53s, 1954, 3 1957s, 2 1958s, 4 1959s, and I know I didn't bring you in for this one because it just looks like somebody colored it. It looked a little bit weird, so I didn't bring you guys in for it, but that was something we did find about halfway through the hunt. And I did check my albums. These 2 2009s are not going to be upgrades, but I do have a separate tube for 2009s now, and I throw those in there after every hunt that I find them, which isn't that many. But there are all of our nickel finds. We'll be hanging on to everything except maybe this metal detector find. And we're going to go ahead and clear this mat off and get in to all of these quarters. All right, well, we have 81 rolls of customer wrapped quarters to get through, and here is, I'll open actually the first 4 or 5 on camera and see if we can find some silver, or at least some interesting looking edges here. Now with quarters, we are looking, I mean, the big thing that you want to look for when you look through quarters is your West Point minted quarters, your W mint mark quarters. I mean, silver is ideal, but the reality is that a West Point minted quarter is actually worth more than a silver quarter. It has been since they came out. They were produced in 2019 and 2020. They are on all 5 designs from that year, and they made about, I think they made exactly 2 million of each design for those 2 years. And the other difference between the two is that the 2020 does have a V75 privy on the front. So if you see that West Point mint mark on the front, and then you see that V75 privy on the front, you know without even looking at the back or looking at the date that it is a 2020. I know when they first came out, you know, they were going really high on eBay. Some of them $20, $30, $40, sometimes as high as $50 or $60. Most of the designs have settled in kind of in that $10 to $20 range. And look at that, we have our first misstuffed roll here. We've got ourselves a nickel, and it is a 2015D, so not even a nice nickel, just a nickel, so that's 1 quarter short. So what was I saying? The other thing we'll be looking for is San Francisco, both business strikes and proofs. I'm going to go ahead and keep opening rolls here while we're talking about it. And there are a ton of mint errors and varieties on the state quarters and national park quarters, the 2021s and the 2022s. I've got most of those listed out in the document that's in the description down below. And as I find those, I'll be sure to bring you guys in and show you those die chips or those errors so you get an idea of what they look like. And if we need to take them under the scope, we will. Come on, there's one more in there. All right, so what am I up to here? That's about 7 rolls. So no silver, no foreign so far. I do see lots of really shiny edges. Most of those are going to be 2021s, 2022s, and 2023s. And let's go ahead and we'll do one more, and then I'll go hunt these off camera and bring you guys in if we find anything cool. So let's see. We got one super dark edge, and that is definitely not silver. I can't even see what that is. Chimney Rock. 1867 Nebraska on the back. So that's one of the Nebraska state quarters. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, like I said, going off camera. I do, I guess before I go, where did I put it? I am working on my Series 1 and Series 2 books. My Series 1 books are all done except for that 2023 Denver minted Bessie Coleman quarter. And on my Series 2 books, we've got all of them complete except the last 2 books. We're missing a couple of, one 2010 Philadelphia minted Oregon quarter And then we're missing 1, 2, 3, 4 more Denver minted quarters from 2010, 11, and 12, as well as that 2023 Denver minted Bessie Coleman. And once I have that, I'll actually have 2 sets of quarter books complete. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead, go off camera, and I'll bring you in as soon as we find something interesting. I was getting through the second roll, and you can see where I've stopped. This is one of my favorite foreign coins to find, both in the $50 and the quarter. This is the Balboa quarter. Let's see if we've got a year on the back. It is Panamanian. This is a 1983. I just think this is absolutely, it's a gorgeous quarter. I love the design. I get so excited when I find these. They're not really worth much. I just think it's really, really cool, so I get excited when I find them. But first real find of the hunt, of the quarter hunt anyway. I did find one Denver minted bicentennial, and it was checked for the DDO, and it wasn't there. But we'll set this Balboa right next to it, give it some company. So I've got rolls 8, 9, and 10 rolled out. I'm kind of getting through roll number 8 here, and just bringing you guys in because of the quarters that we still need to finish out our book. We do still need that 2010 Philadelphia minted Oregon quarter, and I did come across this one. I've already checked the front, but just wanted to show you guys. I mean, we've got some dings in it. We've seen some nicer quarters than this for sure, but this is the first 2010 Philadelphia minted Oregon that we've come across in quite some time. So we're going to put that on the board, and it will be a book filler. Roll number 10, and I've actually already got the quarter I want to show you here under the scope, and this is the 2015 Homestead quarter. I bring you guys in on most of my quarter hunts for this because it's one of the easiest quarters to find a DDR on, and I've actually got it pulled up right here. You can see we've got a little bit of doubling here in the windowsill. I found one very similar to this in my last customer roll hunt, but we'll jump over to the computer and see if we can identify this one on varietyvista.com. So for those of you that may be new to hunting for varieties in any type of modern US coinage, I highly recommend you check out varietyvista.com. Here's the URL. You can look at varieties or double die obverses or reverses for everything from Lincoln cents all the way up to the Sacagawean presidential golden dollars. Today for this video, really we're kind of zooming in here on the America the Beautiful quarters, looking at DDR listings, and very specifically this 2015 Nebraska quarter. This one has 106 different double die reverses, so it's one of the easier ones to find. I've already looked this up, but so I know exactly which one I'm looking for. But the nice thing about Variety Vista is you can get in here and peruse through all of the various DDRs, and the cool thing is they have close-up pictures of exactly what you're looking for, the main markers for each particular double die. And you'll see here's the one that I found. We have that little bar down here. I think I found this exact same one on my last quarter hunt, but we can drill in here, and it's medium spread north in window level 3, which is this one right here, reported originally by Alfonso Lopez. So hope you enjoy this resource. So we're on roll 32. I was about halfway through. I've already pulled the coin out and got it here under the scope, but we are looking at the, I think this is the 2005 canvas from Philadelphia, if I recall, if I got the year right. Yeah, I did. This one is known for having the "In God We Rust" error, and it's caused by a huge amount of grease in the die that gets rid of the T in the word rust. Well, this one is a massive grease die, or grease stuck in the die. Let's take a look at this. You can see that the I is almost completely missing. The G, the O, the T, even parts of the U and parts of the W are missing. Now, this has a little bit of circulation damage on it, so it's not in the greatest of shape, and due to all that grease in the die, it actually looks a little funny around George Washington's head, and even around, you can see it here under regular magnification with my camera. It just looks a little bit weird around the buffalo there. So, I mean, this is a pretty big error. I think, you know, to the right person, this could be worth a couple of bucks based on eBay listings, but this is one of the more severe, you know, "In God We Rust" errors, because so many letters are missing, and even under this magnification, you can still see them a little bit, but many of the letters are completely or mostly sort of hidden or weakly struck. There's the word I was looking for. So I think this is a pretty cool error. This is definitely one I'll hang on to. And before I forget, on some previous rolls, I found 2 of these. These are the Drooling Georges. I've stopped making a big deal out of these because they've become so very common. But it's where there's a little die chip there in the corner of George's mouth. I've actually found 2 of those on the Dr. Sally Ride quarters. These are actually in pretty good shape. They're both from 2022 Philadelphia. But you can see right there, we've got that big old die chip in the corner of George's mouth. And he looks like he's having himself a pretty good little drool there. So, again, these little die chips worth $1 or $2. Not huge, but I found 2 of them so far in this hunt, so thought I would bring your attention to it. For the very next roll, I think it's roll 34 here, maybe 2 rolls ahead. We've got our next find, and it is, for this hunt, our very first San Francisco clad business strike. And it's for the 2018 Georgia Cumberland Island. And if you've been following any of my quarter hunts, really this entire year, I have found a ton of these things. And they're super low mintage. They're actually a lower mintage than the W's. They just don't carry much value. So people aren't collecting them like they do those W's. But I'll put the mintage down here in the lower right-hand corner for you, so you can see just how low mintage they are. If I haven't lost count, I think this is 37, because 36 we just went through. I'm bringing you in because I found another one of our Kansas quarters from this same hunt. Probably came from the same person, but look at this one. We're pretty much missing the I, G, O, T, and R. So we have an N, D, we, ust. So that is pretty cool, and this coin looks just like the last one. We've got a pretty gnarly looking grease strike in there. Not as bad on the back, a little bit down in here. Behind the buffalo, but pretty cool quarter, so we're going to hang on to both of these for sure. Again, both from the Philadelphia Mint, which seems to have a lot more errors than the Denver Mint. We're getting through roll 60, and I actually found both of these in the first half of the roll. Thought I would save some time and bring you in for both at the same time. This is the 2008 Arizona. It's not in great shape, but it has the extra cactus error, and it's where we have a little die chip over top of the engraver's initials. You'll see right here, this should be a nice solid arc right here, but there's a little die chip right there covering up the initials JFM, if I'm not mistaken, but that's not supposed to be there. So this usually commands about $1 or $2 on eBay, and we've already looked at one of these, and I know I brought you into the computer a little bit earlier. I'm not going to do the same here. You guys are welcome to go out and look at Variety Vista and see if you can identify this particular DDR, but we have another one, and it's different than the one before. The last one, I think we had a big doubling right in here. This one, you'll see the doubling is going up the side of the window, so it's very minor, but I know it's cataloged on varietyvista.com. So as you can see, we are out of rolls. We're going through those last 3, and I have here a 2010 Wyoming, and if we look at my little sheet earlier in the video, we did find that 2010 Philadelphia, Oregon. I found a couple of Washingtons in this hunt and 1 or 2 PAs, but they were all Philadelphia minted, which was unfortunate. I haven't seen that 2012 New Mexico in a good long while, but this guy, I've already checked. We have another book filler. Here we go with that Denver. That's pretty cool. I did find a couple of other early 2010, 2011 coins that I've just pulled aside to see if they're going to be upgrades. And one other quarter that I came across, I didn't bring in because it's not that big of a find, but we did get a 1996 with a sticker on the back. I don't see a lot of these, but this one says "Smile, Jesus loves you." All right, well, this was one long and grueling hunt. That was a lot of change, $1,222 worth of customer wrap change. If you've fast forwarded to the end, I did wrap up the dimes and the nickels earlier in the video. We're not going to cover those again per se. Right now, we're just going to cover the quarters. And to cover all of our finds, we did get 2 nickels stuffed in our quarters, so we were shorted 2 nickels. Shorted 2 quarters. We did find this pretty neat little "Smile, Jesus loves you" sticker quarter. I don't see a lot of stickered quarters. I didn't bring you guys in during the hunt, but this is one of the nicer 1982 quarters I have found in a good long while, and I mentioned this in my last quarter hunt. And under the camera, you can tell it still has some blemishes, but all in all, it actually looks pretty darn good. And the reason I'm bringing you in for it is I did pull it up here on Redbook. If you're not familiar with the mintage and the pricing on this, the 82 Philadelphia and Denver didn't have a particularly low mintage, But in Mint State 63, they're worth $14 and $10 respectively. And you can see every other quarter in that same time frame really is just like $1. Now, 83 was another year that just super high priced for those 2 years. But, you know, here you have $1, $2, $1. So if you can find really good examples of those 82 and 83 P&D, hang on to those, especially if they're kind of in that upper mint state range, because they can be quite lucrative. I just pulled that 82 because it's probably the nicest one, like I said, I have seen in a good long while. We did have one San Francisco business strike that I brought you in for. It's that Cumberland Island, Georgia. We had a couple of drooling Georges. I'm not going to spend much more time on those. Early in the hunt for quarters, we did talk about this Balboa, my favorite foreign quarter to find from 1983. We had a couple of fantastic In God We Rust errors that were way bigger than In God We Rust. Like half the lettering was missing on both of those. We had a couple of different DDRs. I think I brought you in for all of them. I can't recall now, but I think I did. As I'm editing, if I didn't, I'll show you the 3. I'll put them up here on screen so you don't miss out on which varieties they were. I know we talked about the Extra Cactus Arizona. I have lots and lots of these. This one's not in great shape, so we're going to go ahead and toss that one back, but that's from 2008 Philadelphia. We did have 15, let me back out here a little bit, 15 of the Bicentennial Denvers, all checked for the DDO. None of them have it. It's sort of a bucket list coin. I don't think I'm ever going to find one, but I'm going to keep looking. We also had 14 Philadelphia Bicentennials, and I'll pull out the best examples, and I make rolls of those. I probably have about 10 rolls of these things. But I just continue to stockpile them. As for book fillers, we did end up with this 2010 Oregon from Philadelphia and this 2010 Wyoming from Denver. And that's going to take our list of needed coins to close out the books down to, I think, like 3 to close out all of our books. I did also find 3 upgrades from the 2009. So my Puerto Rico, my Guam, and actually this 2011 from the National Park book from the Mississippi are all going to be upgrades, and I'll go ahead and show some footage of that here during the rest of this wrap-up so that I don't fumble getting that done here. But overall, this was a lot of fun. I'm actually really surprised we only had that one San Francisco business strike, because I've been finding a lot of those lately. In my last couple of hunts, I've done well with West Points as well. And to go through this many quarters, especially from customers who really don't know much about West Point quarters, I would have expected to have at least find one, even if it was in really bad shape. What else was I surprised not to find? That might have been it. I mean, I was really hopeful to find some silver. I know from watching comments online, a lot of folks are swearing by customer rolls these days for finding silver. I know I found one silver last week, or my last quarter hunt, which was my first silver this year in quarters. But was really hoping I was going to get lucky and find a little silver in these rolls, but that's the way it works. Anyway, apologies if this was a really long film or video, because it was really 3 hunts all rolled into one with all of those dimes, all of those nickels, and really this was like a box and 3/4 of quarters. So if you enjoyed this one, let me know by dropping down below, and make sure you click on that like button and leave me a comment. If you're new to this channel and you like coin roll hunts, make sure you do click on that subscribe button and then click that little bell and select all so you get notified each and every time I release a new video. Check out my playlist too for my quarter hunt and fill, my nickel hunt and fill, my penny hunt and fill. I've got playlists for all that stuff. I do playlists for all my my $half hunts. All my 2023 hunts are put in a playlist. My 2022 hunts are put in a playlist. Make sure you check those out. And, you know, if you are new to the channel, make sure you leave me a comment. Let me know you are new as well. Thank you for all my channel members. I just have 3 or 4 right now. I need to work on that. But I really thank you guys for the couple of bucks a month that you help supply the channel. Every dollar helps. With that said, you guys take care, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.